What is up, comic fam? So happy to have you. It's absolutely awesome to be here and can't wait to see what's going on with everyone and your thoughts on Thor, Love, and Thunder. That's all we're talking about tonight. Initial reactions, initial thoughts, and everything going on as a result of the wonderful Thor movie that came out. Reviews, spoilers will be ahead, so make sure that if you do not want spoilers, that you turn back now and go somewhere else. So come back when you've seen the movie because spoilers will be coming at you. Tales of Grails, Comics and Collectibles, good to see you. Night of Conchu, good to see you. And for the first time ever, coming to the stream is one true Nerd King. What is up, buddy?
How's it going, man?
It's going. How are you?
Not too bad. Hope you can hear me all right. Mic working okay?
Yep.
All right, good.
You got
good. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's excited to be here, brother.
So, initial reaction. What did you think immediately after walking out of the theater? First word out of your mouth as soon as the end scene happened?
I laughed a lot during the movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't going in with huge expectations. I mean, there's going to be a lot of dissection we'll get into, obviously, so I won't get super detailed with it. But it was a 7.5 to me. I mean, it was good. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, life-changing, shattering, like what just happened, brain melt, nothing like that. It was more along the lines of like, that was good. I enjoyed it. I'm not mad. Nothing really ticked me off. Like I felt like I got in Doctor Strange. There was no trigger in that way. I just felt like it was a good movie. I don't think it was the best. I have seen, I did like the other, I liked Ragnarok better, but I did enjoy this. So nonetheless, it was not a disappointment.
Yeah, Ragnarok was a phenomenal movie, and I felt that Chris Hemsworth really just hit his stride in that movie, and we got to see a lot of Thor. This was very much a different side of Thor that we saw in this, and not saying that I hated it, because I honestly was excited to see where they were willing to take Thor in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that they did a very good job of letting us have a Thor that we weren't expecting. And personally, I've got to go with a 7. I don't know if I can do a 7.5 yet after just my first watch. There's certain things about it. Sometimes it was just way too campy, way too cringy. The jokes didn't land all the time, and I felt that, and obviously we'll get into this more, but I felt that Korg seemed out of place. I thought that his, like, let me tell you about the space Viking named Thor was perfect for a trailer, and it would have been perfect to talk about Jane Foster's Thor later on, but they just did it way too often, in my opinion, and it brought it down a little bit. If it didn't have all that, it would have been an 8, no problem, no questions asked. But that was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I wanted that. I don't know if I needed all of that.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was going to say, when it comes to Korg, I do agree. But I don't know. For me, I didn't really notice him that much. I do feel like it kind of doubled down on Taika also being a draw, right? And a character, not just the director. Because some people are known for doing one. He's known for doing both. And in Ragnarok, everybody loved, Korg. It was fine. And his appearances. But for some people, it was just him having this much of a role and kind of not really an important per se role, just a commentary kind of almost like a narrator role, right? Yeah. Like, I'm along for the ride, everybody, like, hang out, let's kind of hold it that way. So for me, in my mind, I wasn't upset by that. I kind of expected that recently more from Taika than most things, because it's kind of what he's been known to do now. But
Sure.
in my opinion, Korg was okay. You know, I mean, honestly, everything was just kind of side filler to me to Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman was, I do believe she was still terrific in this movie.
100%.
I loved her in this movie. I don't think anybody did the mighty Thor a shame in this movie. I mean, could we have had maybe more of it, like its own 100% movie? Yeah, could have. But was I mad at any of it for not having any of that? No, it wasn't. I think Natalie did a fantastic job, and you know, it's Korg was just kind of a little bit too much of a side. You don't necessarily, it's like the green bean casserole, you know, maybe everybody gets a little bit of it, but you don't want a plate of it. You know, you want something else on the plate too. And there was a couple of times where it was just kind of getting all over everything. And so in my opinion, I didn't see him as the motivation I thought it should be when Zeus did what he did. You know, I was just like, oh, it's just definitely disappointing, but I'm not mad. You know, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, he's still here. Okay, well, I'm really not mad. It's all right. He's just still rocks. So, yeah, go figure.
I wasn't. At first, I was like, okay, that was like the perfect sacrifice for Korg, perfect way to end his story arc. Leave it at that and be done. And then when he said, I'm down here, I'm like, part of me was like, crap, he's still alive. And the other part of me is like, okay, cool. So let's see where Korg goes now. Because, I mean, he genuinely is a really cool character. He's really interesting. His feats on the battlefield are there. Like, he's the new... he's kind of like taken over that role for the other Thor characters who died in Ragnarok and whatnot, and that's kind of how I saw him. And for him to take on such a big role, I don't know that I needed it, and I don't know that I wanted it either. It was one of those things where it didn't make or break the movie.
I was afraid they were going to turn him into a baby Groot. At first, I'm like, oh shit, we're going to have a pet rock. Like, no, it's his whole freaking face. Now, if they would have done a pet rock, if they'd have made it like a pet rock, I probably would have been in hysterics the entire time, and that would have totally done. Like, if you made a pet rock with like little googly eyes or something like that, and he just kind of like almost like they had in the Everything Everywhere All at Once, you know, like the little rock kind of thing. If they'd have done it like that, oh man, I would have laughed. I would have enjoyed it, and it would have been weird pet rock Korg that eventually grows back into it. But they just kept his entire face, which was just kind of weird at that point, right? I was just kind of like, this is strange, but whatever. So yeah. But otherwise, don't get me wrong. I've seen much worse side characters. I've heard a lot of people like, it was like Jar Jar Binks. I'm like, man, nothing was as bad as Jar Jar Binks. No. If you thought it was as bad as Jar Jar Binks, you were really not there for Jar Jar Binks. It wasn't that bad, but it was.
I mean, I grew up as a kid with Jar Jar Binks, and I thought that he was a hilarious character. I was like, this is so funny. This is so cool. And then watching it now as an adult, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
Exactly. And to me, in my opinion, though, which this is all just opinion, he was, I don't know, he was just somebody there that wasn't Tessa Thompson and wasn't Natalie Portman. You know, it was just, I think it could have been fine, the three of them. But I guess they just needed a different foil to kind of straight man Chris Hemsworth when he screwed up and made his stupid lines, or like, the ignorant things he does at times, somebody to kind of like, laud him up in that manner. So I get the vehicle that he provided, but like I said, it was just a little too prevalent at a few parts for me. But it wasn't bad. It didn't infuriate me. Like, Multiverse of Madness had some things that made me angry. This did not have anything that made me angry.
Okay. See, going off of that, I thought that we really got to see Thor still trying to figure out Earth. And that was one of the things where I'm like, this is amazing, because he really still doesn't know Earth. He has not been here very often. And the fact that he knows how long it had been since he saw Jane was really cool, because it shows, just like we've seen in the comics, that he doesn't see time the way that humans do. Like, there's things about time that he doesn't understand. And because he's lived for thousands of years, he's like, well, your days are like my months. Your weeks are like almost like my years, because it just doesn't line up. I don't like, whenever I come, and this was in a Donny Cates issue not too long ago, right at the beginning of God of Hammers, when he saw Cap, he said, I'm so excited to see you, because when I come to Earth, I don't know if you're going to be alive or dead, or like how much time has actually passed on Earth, because it hasn't been that long for me. And that's why it's so interesting to see this and to see that kind of played out in comics, or in a movie from the comics, and to see some of this comic accurate content coming out in this movie really made like the nerdiest side of me just start to go haywire as I'm watching this movie. But it shows that Thor truly isn't an earthly being, that he is a cosmic entity, a god, what have you.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. To be honest, for me, I think the only true moment that really threw me for a loop was the opening sequence. It was too abbreviated and rushed. To be honest, the rest of the movie was fun, which I felt like it should be.
Yep.
I did not feel any connection to our main villain, because it just, everything turned into super convenient plot, device. Like, all of a sudden this just happened. Well, I hear the whispering, and now all of a sudden I'm here, and oh no, he's a jerk, but oh look, there's the necro sword, and it just was like, I don't feel like, yes, 100%, man. I'm a father. I have a child. I have a daughter. Been through some things, and I can say wholeheartedly that I connect to the concern of loss and things of that nature, and being angry with God, connection, personal connection. But to have that all pushed into a 3-minute title sequence before the even opening Marvel, all the times it's like, I feel like this is going to be another redeemable villain. This is another villain that's going to be like, you're right, the power of love. And, and it's all fixed. That's when I was just like, okay, I see where this is going to go. And I feel like the editing is what let the movie down. It wasn't the acting. The acting was great. I do believe that Christian Bale acted his ass off in that role.
100%.
And I feel like Natalie Portman did a ginormously tremendous female, awesome superheroine role. Tessa Thompson's always amazing. Chris Hemsworth is always surprising. I was just, at that point, I was like, let's just let's let these people do better, because it was just the editing to me. It was the editing that let it down. What's up, Venomized Comics?
Yo, what's up, boys?
What's up?
Thank you for
First time
having
meeting,
me.
man. Nice to see you, dude.
Of course.
Nice
I'll be right
boys.
back, guys.
Oh yeah. How's it going, brother?
Dude, I'm ready for you guys. I'm all about my God of Thunder. I got 1 through 6 just sitting here waiting to talk about this, baby. I'm ready to go.
Awesome, man.
Where we going? Talk to me. Let's go. What did you not like? What did you like?
I enjoyed I said a 7.5. Like for me, it was a 7.5. I was not mad. I was not disappointed. I wasn't elated. It was just like, it was like going to dinner and it was good. And if somebody asked you 3 days later, what'd you have? You'd be like, I don't know, but I think I liked it. It was just like, I can't, it was one of those experiences where it was good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, it was mid, it wasn't like, whew, that was great. It was like, that was pretty good. All right. I don't feel like I wasted my money, but I don't feel like I need to go back and see that again. That's what I felt like.
I understand what you're saying. I think what the problem with our community, especially the hardcore comic book fans, is that we sometimes take things entirely too literal when it comes to the storylines and the comics themselves. So then we'll watch something and be like, that's bullshit. That's not how it's like. That's not what happened. And we do it all far too often. Oh, look at Moon Knight. Why the hell is, why is he English right now? Why is Stephen Lockley speaking in Spanish? Like, we take shit too literal.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think that this movie in particular, we forgot that Marvel is fun. To me, this was a fun movie. And I think we need to take it with that perspective, because the problem is that people went into it so with this, expecting this magic of the MCU doing whatever it is that they expect it to do, but it's not a serious movie. It's made to be a goofy, fun movie. And I think what they did different with this compared to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is, Doctor Strange, you need to be up to date on every part of the MCU. You need to know phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and everything in between.
Yep.
I could take my 12-year-old daughter, watch this movie right now, and she don't need to know anything. And she'll understand it from beginning to end. And I think that's the beauty that this movie did, that people aren't giving it enough credit for. You could take my freaking mother-in-law who's never seen a Marvel movie, and she'll understand the concepts from beginning to end. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But take either one of them to Doctor Strange, and they're gonna be like, "What? Huh? Darkhold?
Yeah.
What is this?"
And that's the beauty of this movie is, and we were talking about Korg earlier and how I thought that a lot of his stuff like just didn't have a place, but except for like when he first started with like the Space Viking stuff, and then like the last one where he said like, oh, this was Jane Foster. Like, I thought those two were perfectly placed. But now that I look at it as you're saying it, it makes more sense why they did the Korg stuff. Like, this is phase 4. This is the 4th Thor movie. If you are just getting in, you can get in right here, right now, and not have a problem.
100%. I feel like this was the perfect spot for someone to jump in, because let's be real, this MCU since phase 1's been going on, 14 years?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll watch it. We love it. But like I said, is my 12-year-old really going to go back to Captain America 1 right now?
Probably not.
Probably
no.
not.
This is where it gets to be a good and a bad, in my opinion, right? Because Marvel set a very high bar. Very high bar. Very high bar. The bar was here, and then they kept on going here, kept on going higher. They rose it every single time. And eventually you have to ask yourself, we can't keep doing this. We can't. It's just not possible. Either we're going to start to really make people mad, or we're going to the expectations just kind of have to calm down a bit. And I feel like Marvel's kind of taking a pause. I think they're taking a little bit of a, I want to do that story. It wasn't going to be our biggest. Let's do that as something in between. I feel like right now we're getting filler stuff because of all the things that happened with COVID, the abilities of the studios to interact with those things, and those larger stories starting to coalesce, and now they're going to start to kind of come into a bigger show, right? All of a sudden, this was kind of like the little bits of filler. What I've just felt like, in my opinion, yes, I love the opportunity that Marvel brings to bring my family to it. I would have loved to have brought my child to see this movie as opposed to like seeing the Batman or something like that. Totally different tone. Absolutely. And that's what makes Disney successful, and that's what makes Marvel successful, is the ability to have your family there, bring that next generation of Marvel fan in. You're 100% right. For me, I still, like I said, I still enjoyed it. I just didn't it was just a comedy. You know, it was just a comedy with characters from a comic book to me. And even then, as far as comedies go, it was good. Like for me, I did feel like I wish I had gotten more of the Guardians of the Galaxy at the beginning, like that montage. I wish that had been at least a solid 20 minutes of this movie, because I feel like Peter Quill was hitting on so many things to teach. You see him playing chess, you see him getting depressed, you see the meditation. I think one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie is when Stormbreaker grew roots and he rode him like a witch out of the, like, he's just like, hurry up guys, and you know, that was like the funniest to me. And you just see them like, you know, the entire time I felt like the Guardians of the Galaxy should have had just a little bit more there. But it was I appreciate 100%, brother. You're absolutely right. This is that microcosm is the perfect opportunity to bring people, introduce them to the MCU, let them enjoy something for what it is, let them get that itch to want to watch those other things at their leisure. It's that gateway drug. It was just, for me, I felt like so far in phase 4, I'm losing the interconnectivity that made Marvel so special, that I'm just kind of like, man, thank goodness for Spider-Man, but everything else was just kind of like, I'm every movie I go see, I'm waiting. I need that moment where these things start to kind of come together for me, because I feel like I'm missing that.
So you felt that way with Doctor Strange then as well?
Oh God, yes. Yeah,
I did not.
I did not either. I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. I thought it was I thought it tied a lot of that multiverse and everything together. Did I expect more out of it? Yes. But I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was a good gateway to start to introduce our favorite X-Men characters, the Fantastic Four. Like, okay, now it's going to be a reason that we will have, you know, Reed Richards there. We are going to have these characters coming back into life that we want to see. Now they're going to give them an excuse to. It's going to give us the excuse for Black Widow to come back in. That's not some kind of, you know, cartoonish what if thing, you know?
Yeah, so, I think I was just so triggered by the Illuminati, or the lack of the lack thereof. I felt so triggered by that. The rest of the movie just kind of was just like, you know, it just kind of felt like, yeah, I get the Scarlet Witch is the Scarlet Witch, 100%. I know what she is. I understand that in the comics. But the absolute nerfing of the entire group within like moments, and the stupid things, it was just kind of like Baron Mordo's Sorcerer Supreme, but he's caught in a trench. And, you know, it was just like, it was the smartest man on earth, just totally let everything go.
Hold on. Let's, I got to stop you on this one for a second. What I think Marvel does so amazing right now is that they take characters that, let's be real, that you may not have really given two shits about when you were a kid, and you kind of really like them right now. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, did not care about them one bit as a kid. If you read Guardians of the Galaxy, like, you were like the nerd of the nerds. Like, you're like, oh, you read Guardians of the Galaxy? What the hell's the matter with you? Now they're fucking cool as shit. They really are.
Yeah,
Wanda and Vision, if you read Wanda and Vision as a kid, you're like, that's fucking lame. Why are you reading that? And they made Wanda this badass. And in that movie, she was a beast. You kept your eyes on her that entire movie, and the acting the acting of it was just so heartfelt that you had to feel it. You know, as far as what you want to do with Doctor Strange, okay, the Illuminati, that was a dud. I'll give you that. But like I said, I think it was more of a gateway than anything, and it also showed how truly powerful Wanda is in the Darkhold. And we all saw the different interviews and everything where they were discussing how when Wanda fought Thanos for that half a second, where if she didn't get interrupted, there was a chance that she would have destroyed Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we got in that movie was, look, no, she is this extremely powerful being. Yeah. She is a step above everyone else.
So what I've been kind of like trying to talk about for the past 6 months is that phase 1 through 3 kind of just followed this straight path. It all was going in one direction, and it was all kind of leading us to Endgame. Phase 4 is now taking us on multiple different paths, the same way that the comics do. And you've got your cosmic heroes over here. You're going to have your mystical realm over here. You're going to have this amazing street level hero as we go further with Spider-Man. And it's it's that's really going to continue to push the MCU further and further and further until we get to the point where we can finally bring everything we've done back into one big thing. We had the Infinity Saga. We have no idea what this saga is going to be called. And we have no idea where they're taking this. And Kevin Feige's playing his cards extremely close to the vest right now. And I honestly believe that in a year or two, when they finally reveal who the next big bad is of the entire MCU, not just like a couple movies or a couple shows in a movie like they did with Loki and what will be Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantum Realm, when we finally get to see all of that, I think we're all just going to be like, I see what you did there. Didn't see that one coming, but I see what you did there, and we're going to go back and rewatch all these and be like, okay, this led into this and this led into that. And this was an Easter egg for this. And like, it's crazy. And one of the biggest things that I had to constantly remind myself of as I was thinking about this review today was Thor was supposed to come out after Guardians 3. We were supposed to get a lot of Guardians and Thor before Thor 4. And we never got a chance to see that because of all the shit that happened. But it is what it is. Like, you were talking about COVID and all the stuff that happened with James Gunn getting fired and then rehired. And it's one of those things where who knows what it might have looked like if they did it this way and not that way.
I understand that. To me, that's the reason why it feels so disjointed.
Yeah.
Because everything, right? It all went sideways. And that to me is just kind of right now showing a bit of the cracks in the MCU. That's what's beginning to show those telltale signs like, oh crap, a lot of things went wrong here right now. You know, I feel that Thor is a great singular movie. It was still fun. I just feel like right now we keep on establishing these side characters and then we never see them again. You know, Shang-Chi was living at Carmitage. Where the fuck was he during Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah.
He was there with Wong and they were living. Abomination was in the goddamn basement. Where was he? Carmitage, when everybody's falling apart. It was, to me, that's what I'm missing right now. It's those characters that we keep on introducing that we are beginning to love. Like, I love Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi to me was one of the best movies Marvel has made since Black Panther. And it is, you know, love it. I need more of that kind of stuff, that street level, that credit, that mystical realm, that kind of stuff. To me, that was 100% my favorite movie in recent Marvel. Like, even I like that more than Spider-Man. A lot of people want to slap me for it. I'm 100% nostalgia, but that was all new to me. That was all fun. Brought me in. But I miss those. I miss what we got with just like these sideway characters. Like, hey, I'm here. Let me help out for a second. It was those moments that I'm missing in the connectivity of where we're going now. Because every single one is just, again, introducing more characters, and I still can't, like, Haley Steinfeld, like, you know, Hawkeye, right? She is in everybody's business. Yeah. Where the heck is? Why do we have a celestial sticking out of the planet that we've not addressed? Like, there's a hand and a head here. Like, did anybody notice this? Like, did anybody notice? Nobody's talked about it once. I just kind of feel like I want some of that. I want some more showing that these things are happening in the same universe. Because right now, they're not even like talking about each other. Like, shit happened. Like, again, that Eternals thing happened. Nobody's mentioned it. I mean, you've got Jane there, who's the smartest scientist, like talking about wormholes and everything. And that didn't, you know, spark an idea, or, you know, I don't know. That to me is the connectivity that I'm missing right now in Marvel that I loved. It was that I knew it was in the same universe. There wasn't a question. Right now, I could see all those recent movies and I could be like, did they happen in the same multiverse. I would wonder. I would wonder if it happened in the same place, because I didn't see that connectivity lately.
Well, once again, I think the reason they did that on purpose was because, like I said, this movie wasn't made to connect things. This movie was made to take someone who's never seen anything in Phase 4 or anything in Phase 1, 2, or 3 and introduce them to the universe again. I do agree with you. I think the one biggest flaw of this movie was the cameo aspect, because Guardians were just a cameo. I was hoping to see somebody else somewhere else in this movie. I think that would have made it a lot more fun. But you start talking about a Celestial's head and hand popping through, people will be like, the fuck they talking about? What's a Celestial? What's popping through? What's an Eternal? You know what I mean? I don't think
nobody went to go see it.
Nobody went to see it. Let's be, I'm going to be honest with you. I waited till it came out on Disney Plus. I didn't go see it in the theaters because I was just like, do you ever try to read Jack Kirby's Eternals? Try to read it right now. I tried. It's not good. It's just
no. I've never been a fan.
It's one of those, like, there's some comics that you can reread and you go, oh, that's a great story, no matter what it is. You try rereading Eternals, it just doesn't hold water. It's like watching an old movie that you liked as a kid. You rewatch it now, you go, I like that movie. That's not good. Same thing when it comes to the Eternals comics. So I could see a lot of hardcore fans, or a lot of casual fans going, oh yeah, Spider-Man. I know who Spider-Man is. Oh yeah, Captain America. I know who Captain America is. Thor. I know who Thor is. Eternals. Who the hell are they? Yep. Shang-Chi. Who the hell's Shang-Chi? Mind you, I did like Shang-Chi too. I agree with you. I think that's one of the best movies there. But I think 100%. That's why they did it. They did it to get the young new people to start watching all of these little by little. But I do agree. There should have been some sort of connectivity between all of this.
That's all I'm looking for. That's to me that one thing with my 14-year-old, 15-year-old, we go see these kinds of movies, do that kind of stuff. And that's kind of like it's like the inside joke, right? It's that inside joke that those of us that have paid attention, I get that every single once in a while you need a palate refresher to get in the new people, 100%. Yeah. I think that in this case, though, I could have used at least one inside joke. It was just one inside joke. Just give me one inside joke. Of all the people, Taika Waititi, come on, one inside joke. And that would have playstated me. Like, right? I like even the post-credit scenes. Did they have to stay 100% movie centric? Could they have been like, that's one of the things I did love about it was almost like a preview for what's coming next.
Yes.
Jane and Valhalla is not a preview.
I'm going to have to disagree with you guys on this one. I thought the post-credit scenes was probably the worst part of the movie. I was hoping for something great and special, and I'm just like, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I felt let down.
Yeah,
like, great, she's dead. We knew she was dead, assholes. Could you give me something more?
Exactly. Okay, great. She's in Valhalla. What does that mean for me? That means absolutely nothing for me. Okay, yeah, bye. She died. We know she's dead.
Heimdall's back. That was it. That was just like, but he's dead too. God damn it.
We have his son now. Oh, what did he do, Basil? His son's there. Now, that to me, like I said, I think the post-credit scenes, both of them, to me, I did not need, and especially that very, very last one. I'm sitting there waiting, and like you see all these different names of people that you don't even know, or even if they're sitting there watching their names too, like, oh, hey, there's my name. And it's like, oh, there's Jane. Who cares? Yeah. There was nothing that doesn't say that, hey, yeah, she's going to come back to the MCU somewhere down the line. Are we going to have a movie about dead people in Valhalla? I doubt it.
No, we're not.
I mean, I was impressed. I am a Ted Lasso fan. So, he's there. He's every fucking Roy Kent. I was happy to see him be Hercules. I'm liking him being buffed out. I would have 100% be all in on it have been Henry Cavill or somebody like that. But I do like the casting, and I will be interested to see Hercules going toe-to-toe. Just because,
how bad do you want to see Hercules, though? I mean, I don't care.
I don't care. Think of Hercules.
Hercules, Thor's going to smack the hell out of him. What do I... come on.
So,
you're really that excited about her? I was more excited about Gorr the God Butcher than Hercules.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But at the same time, at least to me in comics, Hercules was the ham. Thor was the straight man, right? Now, currently in the MCU, Thor is the ham, And the actor that plays Hercules is a very straight man. I can see them being a tremendous combo in the future for Marvel, just in the competitiveness that we don't get anymore with Hulk, right? Because Hulk's now Professor Hulk, and Mark Ruffalo's kind of backgrounding more and more and more. I feel like Hercules is going to give us some of that, shut the, kind of stuff we got between Thor and Hulk in the Avengers. I have a feeling that, he's going to butt heads, but they're going to come together. Of course they will. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see a person on par with Thor again being in that combination, because that doesn't happen very often in these last few, like in his current universe realm. He lost Jane, and what else does he have? Hulk's hulking wherever the hell Hulk is, still, to me, in my mind, I'm excited for what that brings, not what it showed us. That entire scene was just kind of like, okay, I could have seen that in something else of a different movie when he was actually introduced. That to me wasn't a great post-credit scene, did not pay off at all. 100% with you. That's where I feel like Marvel's dropping the ball, is the connectivity of the universe, especially with those post-credit scenes, because I'm getting no preview.
So I'm curious as to where this is all going down in the MCU, like chronologically. And I think that's the biggest issue that we haven't addressed yet. Is Thor: Love and Thunder happening alongside Multiverse of Madness? Is it happening shortly after, shortly before? Like that's what we don't know yet. And I think until a lot of those questions get answered, obviously, like WandaVision had to happen before Multiverse of Madness. That's a no-brainer. But how far before Multiverse of Madness did WandaVision happen? Because clearly the Darkhold, it was a month. Okay. So it's like, has Eternals happened at that point? Because if you think WandaVision happened back in March of last year, and then a month later you have Multiverse of Madness, technically, chronologically, Eternals didn't happen yet.
It's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
And that's the craziness, the crazy part about all this. And then you mix in the time travel of Loki, the Kang aspect of it, the completely, like the big 180 switcheroo that we did on the whole multiverse, or whatever happened at the end of Loki. I'm still trying to rack my brain around if that was multiverse or if that was just one timeline, or like there's so many questions to be answered there that I'm like, okay, I think it was the sacred timeline, but is the sacred timeline protecting us from multiverses, or is it protecting us from, like, my mind is blown right now because I'm trying to like keep all of this in. And while I am like, I wish they would just give me a straightforward answer. I'm like, okay, I really love that you're making me work for this. Like, I love that you're not giving me everything.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, you don't know the timeline of these movies. They could be happening before, after, at the same time. I was thinking that as One True Nerd King and Venomized Comics were talking. By the way, nice to meet you guys. I don't think I've ever met you, but I follow you on Instagram. So nice to finally meet you. So yeah, like, yeah, we don't know. Maybe that's the point. Maybe I would hope that they planned it. If that's the case, that they're purposely not giving us a timeline when these events are happening, and eventually with the next movie, hopefully the next movie or two, they'll explain when these all happen. So yeah, because it is weird that none of these movies are really connecting, except for Multiverse of Madness, where and No Way Home, where they had some connections to the other or mentions of other movies. Other than that, yeah, it wasn't really any mention of the previous movies or shows. And I am looking forward. I've been looking for that. Like, are they going to mention other aspects of these, or they're just going to keep going the way they have been?
Well, I think the next question is what's going to tie everything together? Is it going to be a drop off of Secret Wars? Is it going to be some form of the Avengers leaving, and then clearly we see the young Avengers slowly creeping in? Like, where are we going next? Because these characters can't play these characters for another 10 or 15 years, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get older. They're going to want to retire. You know, we're going to have more Robert Downey Jr. situations where he's going to want, how much money did he get paid for that 7-minute cameo in Spider-Man? It was like way more than Tom Holland got paid for all 3 Spider-Mans put together.
Yeah.
So it was a ridiculous number. So I mean, I think these things are going to happen. So where are we going next? And I don't think that we have any idea, because at least we knew with the other movies that Thanos was the bad guy and we're building towards Thanos, right? And we had Thanos popping up here and there. We were told Kang's the bad guy. There was no mention of Kang in the last 2 movies. You know, I was reading somewhere on Reddit that Christian Bale got signed to a multi-movie year deal. Clearly, that's not happening.
Yeah, I was disappointed about that. Him
Super
dying
disappointed about that, because in my point of view, Gorr's an amazing bad guy. He could have been something that we could have strung along. Imagine he's kept killing more and more, maybe even some of the Avengers. Like, how dope would that have been?
I was telling my sister that it would have been cool if they just imprisoned him and then somehow like he escapes or something. Like, they keep him alive. I mean, like, I think.
Yeah, why get rid of him?
Yeah,
just get rid of him like that.
A few shows ago, that they keep killing off villains. So just keep the villains. We need that.
And what the hell are we doing with his daughter right now? I don't know if I really want to see Uncle Thor right now. Personally, I think that was a flaw of the movie. Like,
you want Daddy Thor?
I don't want that Thor. You know, I'm a dad. I don't want to watch that Thor. I got that at home. I watch the movies to escape reality. You know what I mean? And now she's got Stormbreaker. What made her worthy to pick up Stormbreaker?
Yeah,
she's not.
You don't need to be worthy for Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker's not based on worthy. Yeah, that's why he was able to use it to get them there. That's why, you know, there's no worthiness for Stormbreaker.
You just have to be able to support.
And like a 9-year-old girl can support that giant freaking Stormbreaker.
So she's not a 9-year-old girl.
What is she?
Eternity is able to create manifestations. So she is a manifestation of eternity.
So does that make her
immortal? That's why she has powers with the eye zap. That wasn't her. So she's, it's going to, I don't know. To me, this is, and this is my opinion, you know, too, but Scarlet Witch was not supposed to be in Multiverse of Madness when it was first written, right? Scarlet Witch in WandaVision wasn't supposed to be first before Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All this shit just happened. It just happened. It wasn't supposed to, and it came out that way, and Marvel tried to do the best they could with it. I think you're going to see a lot of frayed edges, not necessarily getting fixed, as so much getting just erased with Quantumania or something like that. It's not going to get connected. It's not going to get tied up. It's going to say, multiverse fixed. The Kang the Conqueror is dead. We reset the holy timeline. We're going to bring in the mutants. We're going to bring in the Fantastic Four. We're going to let all these frayed edges just kind of, you know, into one. Because right now, I think Feige going on this 5-year planning trip that he just did, I think they did that because they realized we haven't been able to see each other for almost 2 years. We should have done this a long time ago because we're so disjointed. The MCU's getting disjointed, and we need to fix it. And let's go make some plans for the rest of it right now so we don't have to worry about monkeypox or whatever the hell it is coming in next, all that shit. You know, we can just be like, whatever, Marvel's set, you know, crock pot it, sprinkle it on our dust, set it, forget it.
The Decepticon.
Yeah, you know, to me, in my mind, we're going to not see a lot of these frayed edges get fixed. I think they're just going to get erased by Secret Wars and everything getting pulled into one timeline. Like the whole reason why I'm so pumped about going to SDCC is being outside of the Marvel hall and seeing what the fork is going on because this is where the announcements are going to be and we're going to find out what's really coming. So I'm pleased to finally find out who that big bad character is going to be. Is it really Kang? Because if so, that's cool. I'm fine with that. I don't care who it is. Give me somebody. Yeah.
Kevin Feige will admit. Kevin Feige will admit that his biggest mistake way back at the beginning of the MCU was announcing Phase 2 and Phase 3 at the same time. Because he announced Age of Ultron and then said, after Age of Ultron, we're then going to conclude the Infinity Saga here with Infinity War. And it's going to be a 2-part event, Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2. And Age of Ultron did not do well because everyone's like, well, the whole idea is to get to here, not this little tiny bump in the road of Ultron as one movie. And I think they're now learning even more, and they're saying the more we give to fans, the harder it's going to be for us to pull the reins back on what we give them and make them, we want to make them as excited for this as we did Endgame before Phase 2 even started, when we first announced Phase 2. And I think the hardest part is just them trying to figure out where's that middle ground. I mean, DC has no idea how to announce a goddamn thing. Marvel just likes to do phase by phase, and they're struggling right now because of COVID, because of director issues, because of like all these other things that they have out of their control, as well as things that they have in their control. And they're trying very hard to make things happen, but it's not happening the best way possible, which sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, right now I feel like Disney and Marvel, not Disney and Marvel, I feel like Marvel and DC have kind of like flipped, right? Because DC kept on trying to do multiverse things and it wasn't working. And Marvel's trying to do small things and it's not working. You know, it's just kind of like they both had their jams 100%. Like, you know, this was perfect. And DC made some great, you know, singular movies, and Marvel made some great, spectacular interwoven ones. And right now they're just like, okay, we're going to go reset. We're going to do a multiverse thing. And DC's like, we suck at that. And Marvel's been trying to make a bunch of these more like, this movie's just in and of itself. It's just 100% within itself. And it's not, they are not, no matter what we want to say about it, they're still not doing as well. They're not doing as well in the box office. They're not getting the reviews. Those things that made Marvel special right now, outside of Spider-Man, it's not connecting with the audiences the way the rest of these movies were. And so in my mind, it's like all of a sudden DC and Marvel just like went into their own multiverse and completely flipped roles, right? It's like, we're going to try that small one and that big one. But I feel like I'm hoping with this announcement, Marvel gets back on that track of saying, you know what, we're back. The ship has its rudder. We've got the sails full. We know where we're going. We're going to make shit work. We're going to bring things together. But I feel like we've been missing that. And I do blame COVID for a lot of that. A lot of it's outside of the control of all of us, you know?
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it's going to go. And I'm excited for She-Hulk. I've loved Ms. Marvel. I think a lot of the Disney Plus shows are good. I think they will be better when the movies are back and these phases are a little bit more organized again. Because whether Feige likes to say it or not, though, too, it's his organization and his forethought that made those things successful, though, to begin with. Yeah. You know, it was thinking that far ahead, because DC with Warner Brothers was just thinking, okay, next paycheck's due in 6 weeks. What can we pump out that might make us $1 billion, guys? Ideas. And that's what I feel like Warner Brothers was doing. Meanwhile, Feige was there with Marvel on the last day of Iron Man going, you know, I think we can make an Infinity War. You know, it was just like, all we need to do is like get the Avengers together, which at the time, nobody gave a shit about. Nobody cared about Captain America. Nobody cared about Thor. Who the hell was Hawkeye? Black Widow? Why Scarlett Johansson want to play Black Widow? Who the heck is that? You know, you cared about the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and they were nowhere to be seen. I love these side characters getting their day and getting their time. So I hope Marvel gets back to that. Thor was great. Thor was good to me. It was great for what it needed to be, but I felt like, to me, in my mind, Natalie Portman was what made that movie special.
100%.
It wasn't Christian Bale, it wasn't Tessa Thompson, it wasn't Chris Hemsworth, it wasn't Korg, it wasn't any of those things. They were all side dressing for a great performance from a tremendous actress, finally getting to do something in a hero realm where she isn't the reason why the hero is the hero. She was the hero. She came and she did it, and she sacrificed herself. And I think that was a tremendous moment in film, in superhero film especially. Just my opinion.
I feel that sometimes Marvel does things that I feel are kind of like forced agendas that they push on us. Like when we look at Endgame, it's kind of that all-female fight scene felt just a little too forced for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, this damsel in distress, when she became the hero, it wasn't forced. It felt natural. It felt really good. It felt like that's the way it should have been from the beginning.
Yep.
You know, but there still was kind of some forced agendas pushed into this movie. I don't know if you guys really saw them or not. The whole Valkyrie where she grabs the girl's hand and kisses it. There were some things I was like, did I need that? You know, there was something I felt I was like, yeah, come on, guys. Let's just let the movie be a fun movie. Let's not push any agendas in this, you know? And I think sometimes Marvel does that a little too much for us. When we watched the Mandalorian and we had that all-female fight scene at the end, that wasn't forced. That felt right. That felt natural. You know what I mean? They pick and choose moments that I feel like they're trying to appease certain people's agendas and stuff, as opposed to just letting a movie be a movie. You understand what I'm saying?
I can appreciate that. Yeah. I can. I don't see it any different than like the women passing out when they see Thor naked. I think having Thor naked was more not necessary. I think that was more anti take your family to a movie than any part of it. You know, and I also put that on the same agenda as the sex scene in the Eternals, right? The Eternals was a beautiful movie. I did not need to sit through a 40-second sex scene sitting next to my daughter.
I'm 100% with you on that.
You want to talk about awkward? At least at home, I can fast forward it. At the movie theater, you want to kind of look, and we want to kind of look at each other like, what the hell's going on? What do we do? You're like, no eye contact. We're just going to look at the chair in front of me like, okay, is it done yet? No. Is it done? No, still not done yet. You
Especially
know?
when in the theater opening night.
Oh, gosh, man. Super awkward. And to me, that to me was the problem. I didn't have really a problem with Tessa Thompson, you know, and her gazing look. I felt it was more weird with if anything too, the second weirdest one was having to bring up the orgy 8 times. First time was funny. The orgy was funny the first time, but then you kept on saying the orgy, and then all of a sudden it's like,
I'm like, what?
awkward, cringe.
It was cringe.
That's where I was getting into it. Was just like that was Taika taking it too far, in my opinion. That was just like we wanted to ham it up just a little too much, make it too much of a running joke. But then we realized nobody else really thought it was a running joke. It was a funny joke the first time. Like if he flicked, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oops, sorry," put the robe back on, whatever it was. But everybody had their quick little moment. Everybody would have been in hysterics, and I would have been fine with it. Yeah. But I had to understand that the entire like conversational scene was with naked Thor, and everybody's still talking about naked Thor, and then the orgy jokes coming at the same time. You're just like, all right, okay, are we done yet? That to me was the unnecessariness of the entire movie. That was the most unnecessary part. Tessa's was a fleeting glance to me. I get it. It was there. I understand that. But at least to me, that was something like if I had just been looking down to get a piece of popcorn and maybe fumbled the piece of popcorn and had to grab it again, I would have missed the entire thing. I would have missed it. But the orgy scene, I had to hear for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and I knew Thor was naked the entire time. You know, it's just like, that to me was
How funny were those back tattoos, though? Come on.
No, I read them. I'm not going to lie. At the same time, too, heinously jealous. Chris Hemsworth has the body of a god. I mean, he should have a movie where we get to enjoy that. But I'm just not sure if it was Disney's Marvel movie. You know, it was just that movies need to be family orientated to get those generations in. Disney bought Marvel to bring in, like they did Star Wars, to bring in families and little kids going to see these movies. That's why, because they knew Mickey Mouse wasn't going to do it forever. They were going to lose him. So you had to get these properties. And I feel like every single time we do something to appease the fanboys, and I'm talking to us right now, every time we appease us too much, that's when we get into the dangerous areas of making like the Batman, which was a cool movie, or the Joker, which was a cool movie to us. But at the end of the day, that's not bringing in the next generation of Batman fans. That's just appeasing the Batman fans, you know?
Now, what did you think about the humor and the comical aspect of the movie between Thor and then the very seriousness of Christian Bale? Did you feel that worked?
I thought it was an interesting style, especially because then they played off of it with the color schemes, where Gorr's planet, or the Shadow Realm, I should say, was completely dark and black and white. Sorry, my dog's sitting right next to me chewing on anything because he's a fucking puppy and does whatever he wants. So so basically, like, I like the dichotomy of it, but at the same time, I thought that there was a little too much joking around. There was scenes where it didn't need it. The vending machine scene, perfect. Loved it. Like, that was funny as can be. Someone put a fridge in without a door. Like, I laughed my ass off at that one. But then you had scenes that were just forgettable because they didn't need humor. Like the orgy joke. It did not need to go on for 2 minutes straight. We didn't have to make the joke 8 times. At the beginning, I thought that it would have been a lot better if Thor was a little bit more serious as Peter Quill is giving him that speech before they split up. But I also understand the last time Thor split up, the last time he saw people split off and do things, everyone he cared about died. So I get why he's trying to play it off, but it's a struggle because you want the character to develop, you want this whole idea to happen, but you don't want too much of one thing to take away from that other.
Yeah.
And I felt like the humor did take a little bit away from the character development.
I think the cinematography was beautiful.
Yes.
I think that the movie was beautifully shot. I do not like, especially the black and white portions and fields. But then when you see Jane light up Mjolnir and she's 100% glowing in color off on the side, the cinematography was wonderful. The special effects were great. I had no question with the visual aspect of this movie at all. I do think that you're right that sometimes Christian Bale's character was so serious and Thor's was so hammy that it didn't mix well. It was a little bit too much oil and water for me in that aspect. But that was something that, you know, at the beginning too, that I had a complaint about, that I talked about with Chris before I got to talk to you, Venom and Alex. Thank you guys for, again, letting me be a part of this too. Was I felt like Gorr's intro was so abbreviated, it rung hollow. And it felt like, to me, that set the tone for easy redemption later on in the movie for me. So for me, his series, like, I had already lost Gorr before the Marvel Q came up to me, because it was too convenient. It was too abbreviated. And I did not feel like that mattered to me. You know, it just didn't ring strong enough for me to really care.
I almost wish they would have done what they did with Silver Surfer. If you've ever seen that animated version of him, where you see the planet thriving, you see it like just Gorr's life before that planet went to shit. And then we jump to the Guardians of the Galaxy, we jump to Thor doing what he was doing, then you jump back to Gorr. And then you see Gorr's planet start to die, and then you see Love die, and then like all of that goes down differently in that way. And if you see that, like, again, that dichotomy of this is what Thor's doing. This is what Gorr's doing. This is the loss that Gorr had to deal with. This is how Thor's dealing with his loss. And then you see his origin story. It becomes a little bit more believable. And I'm talking literally a minute or two more of film of just seeing that planet as it was, seeing Gorr as the man he was, and the gods helping them thrive and all of that. Like, if we could have seen that, we would have understood how far the mighty truly fell on that planet.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I thought we were going to see Gorr's planet like that, like you were saying, like when it was already like flourishing and everything, then leading to why he's the god, because they stopped killing and everything. I mean, I was hoping for that. I was not expecting right off the bat of like him already through the desert. I was like, oh, okay, like it doesn't even explain what happened. So I think like especially if they're going to bring in new audiences, I think that would have helped like give more credibility to Gorr.
Now,
Because
were you
people,
guys
like,
expect?
oh.
I'm sorry, finish. I'm sorry.
I was saying, because at first glance, people probably think, oh, maybe his planet is just like that. Like his world was just like that from the beginning, and that's why they were pointing to the gods. Like I wish they would have done what Chris was saying.
Do you guys feel like they dropped the ball in the Necrosword and it being the first symbiote and introducing Null?
No. I'll be honest, I don't give a shit about symbiotes. because Sony screwed it up so much. Sony screwed it up so much. And I don't want Sony anymore in the MCU. I feel like we're still trying to fix Sony problems. So for me, I want to keep Sony and everything Sony as far away from the MCU as humanly possible for now until they screw it up so bad we can buy them back and get them on discount.
But this could have been the way that Marvel could have reintroduced the symbiote and made it back.
But then they would have had to have let Sony lead those things again, because that is a Spider-Man property. I can see 100% why they didn't, and I'm glad, because I mean, anything, even Venom. Venom's not a great movie, man. I mean, I get it.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
And that's why I don't want even Marvel to try and get it until they have control, because Marvel was brought in to help. Marvel was brought in to do those things, and we did see them do magic with Spider-Man, but we saw them make Sony more money. So then Sony's now making a fucking Craven movie and a Morbius movie, and they're making more stuff because Marvel came in and fixed things. And I don't want to see them fix anything else. I want to see them let Sony die, let it wither on the branch, and let them go and pick it, then bring it back, and then make it like, by the way, that was the Necrosword, and we'll fix that somehow. We'll fix it, but don't bring them in now, because I feel like we're just feeding something that's on life support that just needs to die. I just want to see it.
Is it on life support? Though? Look how good Spider-Man did. How is it on life support? Spider-Man's going to keep being Spider-Man, doing Spider-Man shit and being great movies. Now, the rest of it I give you is dog shit, 100%. But they'll never let go of Spider-Man. They'll never let go of it.
Well, but again, they're only been good because Marvel's gotten so involved in making them good. I mean, the last 3 Spider-Man movies. Remember how awesome the Andrew Garfield series was?
It was terrible.
Right? But remember how awesome the Tom Holland ones have been? Who was there? Iron Man was there, Captain America was there, Doctor Strange was there, and it was because of Marvel, the rest of greater Disney Marvel coming in and saying, Merry Christmas, Sony.
Well, where the hell was Marvel for Venom, and where the hell was Marvel for
Sony wasn't letting them because they got fat from that Marvel check from Spider-Man.
Sony did not listen to anything Kevin Feige had to say about Amazing Spider-Man, Morbius, Venom. Kevin Feige was called in to help write or produce a couple different Sony films, and they just basically were like, well, thanks for the input.
Yeah, and
then
dipped.
Still, yeah.
But exactly bringing it to my point, Sony's never going to let go of Spider-Man. That's too big of a cash cow.
Oh, I don't think they're going to let him go. I think they're going to get bought. I think it's going to get bought. I think like Sony Pictures.
Disney, I'm surprised Disney hasn't tried to buy them out like already. They have the money.
It's worth too much. That's
It's
the
worth
problem.
it's because it's a part of greater Sony. Once
Yep.
greater Sony decides that they are not having it with the Sony Pictures portion because it's been having more trouble, that's when you'll see them start to debate is it better for them to get an agreement to make video games than it is for them to have an agreement to have their movies? Video games are the future of movies. So Sony would be smart to say, you know what? Give us Marvel video games. Give us the Marvel video games. We'll give you Spider-Man back. And that will make Disney happy now. And that will make Sony happy for then in the future. Because all of a sudden, PlayStation gets only the Marvel games, maybe even the Star Wars games, because they've come to this Disney decision and agreement. I think that would have more legs.
Yeah, I was thinking, that's a good point. Like, has Sony put out any other movies besides these Marvel characters? So I'm trying to think, like, what other movies has Sony put out?
There's been a few Sony pictures in the past 10 years. It's been dwindling a lot, though.
Yeah, I meant recently. I meant recently. Like,
wasn't the John Wick movies a part of Sony Pictures?
Was it?
I don't think so.
I'm looking it up now.
Because I know that Sony is not coming out with their own streaming service. Sony is not coming out with this. Sony's not coming out. Like, everything that's making a lot of other things money. Like, obviously, WB has kind of teamed up, or basically is the same as HBO Max. So that's like one of their things that they kind of go off of and do for their stuff. But I think it's Paramount Plus where you can watch the Spider-Man movies.
So Sony has James Bond, right?
Okay.
The Men in Black. So Sony also has a lot of the Universal properties. Not all of them, but a lot of them. The Terminator movies. Lots of Godzilla's. But then it's getting into older movies. Yeah, but they've got a few good franchises.
Those franchises aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
I know, because Godzilla went back to Japan for their because the contract was up. Because I know Godzilla's owned by Japan now again, and I don't see like what Venomized comic said. Yeah, because it seems like they're kind of beating a dead horse with the Terminator movies, and we have a lot of James Bond films, but I don't really see them being like those, like being big, like other franchises.
Those are multi-billion-dollar franchises. They ain't going anywhere.
I know they're not going. I know they're not going anywhere, but so it seems like
Spider-Man was this close. I want to say 5 years ago to being back in the hands of Marvel for free, because Marvel made a very specific contract with Sony when Sony bought the rights. If you don't make a Spider-Man movie every 5 years, the rights go back for free. If someone buys Sony Pictures, the rights go back for free. Apple was very close to buying Sony Pictures when they started Apple TV. And I think it was Amazon Prime was also very close. And I want to say that those two companies are still jockeying for position to try to get Sony Pictures and a few others, because of the properties that there are. Like James Bond under Amazon Prime would be really cool, because Amazon Prime could do a lot of shit with
like a series.
Yeah. So
but they would lose Spider-Man. And they wouldn't get Spider-Man with
immediately, every single Spider-Man property would go back. The thing I don't understand, and the thing that sucks the most, is that all of these new Spider-Man properties that have come out after that contract was made are somehow still part of Sony's contract. Like Miles Morales, Null, the newer Venom characters that came out in the 2000s. Like, that contract was made in the 90s. How do you have control of newer Spider-Man villains and characters?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing that I never really got, but I guess, I mean, if I was Marvel, why are you creating new Spider-Man characters if you don't have the ability to make them into live action?
Like, just put them in a different
like what Marvel did to Fox with the X-Men. Marvel specifically killed Wolverine and just, because they just wanted to. They wouldn't make any toys for any of the X-Men movies. None of them have any of that stuff, because Disney was just like, this is working out too well for them. We gotta get this to go away. And And I think that they may go to war with Sony in the future, but for now, because they've got this armistice, they're playing nice. But as soon as that goes away, Disney goes to war. And then you will. The reason why they're introducing Ms. Marvel and why they're introducing She-Hulk and stuff like that is because they want to get a good young person to get kids excited about Marvel again. That's not Spider-Man. Because Universal's not giving up the Hulk. Well, then, fuck you. We're going to make our own Hulk, and you don't get her, and it's going to be She-Hulk. And everybody might get mad that might be the World War Hulk, but it might be the World War Hulk. We don't know. But we know Universal's not going to let us do it anyways, so why not? We want the story. It may not be the exact canon, but at the end of the day, fanboys, got to kind of chill out too. So, I'd be okay with that. I think she's an amazing actress, but I won't get into that. I'll stay on target, on point. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place.
That trailer looked terrible, boys. We're gonna have to come back to that trailer because
we'll come back to that on the next episode of the Comic Lounge.
It's all about that trailer.
So, final thoughts. I gave it a 7. Nerd King, you gave it a 7.5. Venom and Alex, we haven't heard your out of 10 rating yet. What did you guys think?
I think a 7.5 is very accurate. I think it's a very fair assessment of it.
Personally, I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Because I was entertained and everything. Like usually,
hypercritical Chris to always sunny Alex. Look at that. And then the two guys in the middle, one true Nerd King, Venomized Comics.
Yeah, Chris and I.
One last
Chris
thing
and I
about
don't
that.
always see eye and eye. We battle head.
Did you guys need that kid fight scene? Did you guys need the kids out of nowhere kicking ass out of nowhere?
Yes, I needed
Did
that.
you?
I loved. I have to say, I love that scene.
I thought it was funny. That to me was like the one joke that started to land for me.
Yep.
That was a joke that was landing. Like the little girl with the stuffed animal with the laser eyes. I was just like,
I was dying laughing so hard. It was especially when they're playing November Rain. The background was like the bunny is like, oh, that was awesome.
When people know how to kick ass without having some sort of origin of how to kick ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that bothers me.
I mean, out of all the other things we've let slide, I was okay with the kids kicking everybody's ass. It was okay for me.
He couldn't beat them up before when he had Valkyrie and Jane, but now he could beat them up because he's got a bunch of kids that never fought before.
Yeah, my wife was laughing her ass off at that when he paused and then goes, for a limited time only.
I know.
For a limited time.
He's like, the power of Thor for a limited time only.
I did love that part. That was gives them the power for a limited time.
Because you have to think about it.
It shows that Thor is truly a leader now. Like, he's getting to that King Thor status where he's ready to be a king. Because he's ready to start leading and stop always being the warrior.
And I think Valkyrie is going to ask him to do that eventually too. I think Valkyrie is going to say, "Look, it's yours. Thank you for letting me keep the seat warm, kind of thing. But I need to go back to kicking ass. And you have finally developed into the leader and the king you were supposed to be. That when Odin passed on and everything went perfect, you were supposed to be this king. You finally got there. Congratulations. And that's probably the Thor retirement party that we're going to get one day. I hope.
I'm hoping that
Chris Hemsworth deserves that.
Thor 6 is a King Thor movie.
Yeah. Thor 5, the retirement party.
I don't mind him staying for Thor's. Listen, if he keeps juicing up, I am supportive of this. Keep juicing up.
I like Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
Let's keep going. I'm fine with it.
I'd be okay with a King Thor too, like the old one missing a hand and shit. Like, let Chris grow with this role. If Chris is happy doing these movies, keep making the movies, even if they're all mid and they're 7.5s. And I don't care. Him still being involved, us having some continuity from the beginning still. I need something from phase 1 that still kind of pulls once in a while because it
binds it together.
Yes. We've lost so many. All we've got left is Thor and Jeremy Renner, both from the same movie. That's it. And technically, Hawkeye's kind of retired.
Yeah, but it seems feasible because, as a character, Thor will live longer. and everyone else. So it makes more sense. It will make more sense of him staying a little bit longer than the West. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
I hope so. I hope so.
Chris Hemsworth aging as a human will kind of be our downfall.
Well, eventually, hot
Beat 'em
topic
up.
maybe for another time. Is Marvel too big? Is the story too large? Do we need a reset? When will that happen?
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll get a new Thor in 30 years. Who knows? But in the meantime, I'm okay with it. Let him get old. I'm here for it.
I'm with it.
It was a pleasure talking to you guys, and I hope that you can join us next Friday.
Gentlemen, I
10
thank you
p.m.
for the
Eastern.
invite. I love you all. Please, I would love to come back
Thank you, Chris.
if you appreciate me. I appreciate you, boys.
Definitely, anytime. We're more than welcome to have as many people as we can. Love the conversation.
Let's have
Love
10
to be
people
here
next
too.
week. 10 people should be the goal.
10 people? There's going to be a lot of us talking over each other.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming on, and we will talk soon. Have a great
Have a
night.
good one, guys.
Have a great night, guys.